Hey team, this is Kevin from Create Curriculum, and today we are looking at the assignment Annotated Bibliography for a Scientific Debate. So I originally did this after covering Frankenstein, about 2/3 of the way through after book 2. And with it, I looked at controversial, as I called it at the time, scientific topics. So I've since changed that to just scientific, because some might not be seen as controversial. It just depends on perspective. So that kind of puts that thought process into it. The fact that some students might not see it as controversial, some might, so why even put that out there? So I just kept it with scientific debates. And with this, we're doing annotated bibliography. And that might be a skill that a lot of your students don't have. They might see in college. I did this originally with an honors class, but could definitely be done elsewhere. It helps students think about their sources and why they are using those sources. So let's take a look into this assignment now. We have already talked about the topics above here. Now we have first, cite your source according to MLA. Consult the OWL, the Online Writing Lab at Purdue, for an extensive guide to MLA standards and practices. I've already, at this point, talked to my students about this. If you have not heard of the Online Writing Lab, super awesome resource. Take a look at that. If you just search OWL Purdue, you will find it. Next, write your annotation. It should be written in paragraph form. You may have more than one paragraph per source. They probably will. With complete sentences, of course. The annotation includes a summary, assessment, and reflection. So here for summarize, I'm looking at those informational writing skills. What are the main arguments of this source? What is the point of this book or article? What sources, what topics are covered? If someone asked what this article, book, website was about, how would you explain it? This is just making sure students are synthesizing this information, making sure they understand what that article is about. Next, assess. After summarizing a source, evaluate it. Is it a useful source? Useful in what way? How does it compare with other sources in your bibliography? Is the information reliable? Does the author have credentials worth mentioning? Looking here if the author is reliable and if they have credentials worth it. Are they just making it up? Are they a random person, or are they a credible source? Is the source biased or objective? A wonderful question with that. Might take a little bit of coaching with that, but at this point I've already talked to my students about that. What is the goal of this source? Looking at author's purpose. What in particular about the piece was useful? A certain chapter, the index, language usage, illustrations. This helps students look at the source beyond just, oh, here's a good fact. And they can actually look and see what about it's useful. Hopefully they can figure out if it's reliable or not at that point. But they can definitely decide what they might do with it. And that gets to reflection here. Once you've summarized and assessed a source, you need to assess how it would fit into your scientific debate. Because remember, we have this authentic purpose of the scientific debate. Here I'm not actually having them to give the debate, but they're getting prepped for it. How has it shaped your ideas about the topic? How will you use this source in your debate? Has it changed how you think about your topic? Some people, they did. They went from pro to con. They went for or against. They switched their thoughts. Did it lead to other ideas or avenues for your research? Basically, what new information did you learn, or how was your prior knowledge enriched by this piece? Here's a chance to offer some specific examples and to help the reader see how the source stands apart from other sources. So that is the basis there for what we're looking at for our information. We are now looking at the further considerations when writing your annotations, and this in the format are just reminding students of what we're doing and how we're going to do it, looking at that MLA, but also making sure that their annotations are up to par here. Use title and author names, be clear and specific. In that, I would remind them we're using last names, not first, when referring to the author. Articles, books, and websites where they ever talk. Something's discussed in the article or website. The article doesn't say it. It doesn't talk, right? Avoid unclear pronouns, vague words, and phrases like good information and things. Strive for variety in word choice. Your annotation should be clearly demonstrate how and what the source contributed to your debate, because again, we have this authentic purpose of this debate. How is it going to help the debate? Is it going to give you information on the other side? Is it going to help strengthen your cause? And all these should not all sound the same. Avoid repetition. They might be kind of the same format with that, in the same order, because it keeps it consistent, but we have to avoid repetition. Finally, for formatting here, I've suggested that Owl Purdue. Definitely take a look at that if you haven't yet. I usually post that in the Google Classroom, and these are just general things: Times New Roman, 12-point font, center title, names, date, instructor in the left-hand corner. Use a hanging indent for your citations. Citation should be in bold. Indent your annotations. Double space the whole document. Do not add extra spacing. Just some suggestions here. Now, whenever I give an assignment, I like to do an example because A, it helps me work through it and find anything that might be wrong or might be struggling along the way. However, it also allows students to see what they're looking for. Give them something to look at as they're going with it. We have here, I've got Mla Formatting to start at the top here. This is from earlier this year. And here I've got my title. I'm also going to note here's my bolded citation. I have underneath here, I've divided into 3 paragraphs because it's the 3 parts within that. So students have this so they can see kind of what it's supposed to look like. Finally here, I do have the remainder should include at least 2 more citations to fulfill this assignment. Just reminding them they need at least 3 citations. With this, one could do 2 additional ones. I had some students doing the same topic as mine, and I feel, give enough of an example here where they could do it 2 more times. One could do 3 total, but I just chose not to because I felt as if they had the understanding of the topic. If a student did ask, I would go on and make more. Now that is the annotated bibliography for scientific debate. As we said before, you could turn that into an argument essay, you could turn that into an actual debate. It just depends on what works best for you and your students. I got this idea by talking with a coworker who gave me the basics of it, and so I highly recommend if you're ever in a jam or you're not sure exactly where to go with something, talk it over with a coworker. Talk it over on here. You got a comment or a way to make this a little different? Comment down on below this video. You can subscribe, like, make sure to let me know if you end up using this. If you want a copy of the assignment sheet, I will have a link to that below for you to make your own copy. Hopefully you have a wonderful day and happy teaching.